Lore! Exclamation. Savour, the silent watcher of the wastes in the far reaches of the forgotten wastes, where even time seems reluctant to pass, a lone figure drifts like a mirage through dust and silence. Those who've seen him call him Savour, though none know what, or who, he was meant to save. Savour is a trollge unlike the others. Where most fall to madness or despair, he stands apart, calm, quiet, and watchful. His presence is unsettling. Half of his face is scarred and worn, a permanent reminder of past few dare ask about. Some say it was a storm, others a fire, or perhaps something older, something not meant to be remembered. Lodged just above his jawline is a weathered knife, embedded as though frozen in time. Though it should have been his end, it became his mark, a symbol of his will to carry on. And atop his head rests a battered cowboy hat, tilted low to shield his expression. It's the last relic of a life he once lived, a time when he was someone else. No one knows why he walks the lands alone. He speaks to no one. But wherever he goes, silence follows. Entire settlements have awoken to find strange symbols drawn in dust, their gates closed though no one recalls shutting them. Sometimes, a threat vanishes overnight. Sometimes, nothing happens at all. He leaves no trail, no explanation. Some believe he is cursed. Others believe he is a guardian, a relic of an older code, one that values justice, even in a broken world. But ask too many questions, and you'll find only rumors. He doesn't talk, but he listens. He doesn't sleep. He waits. The knife isn't keeping him alive, it is keeping something else from getting out. Whatever the truth, one thing is certain: Savour is still out there, watching, wandering. And while he may have lost part of himself long ago, what remains is bound by something stronger than pain, purpose. The betrayal of Savour. Before the wastes, before the knife, and the scars, Savour was a man of different time, a soldier of fortune, part of loose-knit group of outcasts and wanderers known as the Bloodbloom Syndicate. They were survivors, misfits, and mercenaries, making their way through the fractured lands, trading blood for gold, and knives for secrets. Savour, once known by a different name, Jace Quinn, a name whispered by few but respected by men, was the leader. Charismatic, calculating, and ruthless when needed, he commanded respect from his crew. Among them were his most trusted allies: Roan, a sharpshooter with a quick temper and quicker hands; Bailey, the poisoner, who could melt a man from the inside out; and Ezekiel, a former lawman turned bounty hunter, whose loyalty was earned through years of shared hardship. For years, they had roamed the wastes together, taking jobs that most would consider suicide. But the group had survived it all. They were family, bound by blood, and the unspoken promise to never betray one another. Then came the mission that shattered everything. The job, it was simple enough at first. Steal a rare artifact from an old vault in the heart of the ruins, a relic from the past, believed to have the power to turn the tide of a never-ending war between the scattered factions of the wastes. The artifact was guarded by a small army, but nothing the Syndicate couldn't handle. However, what Savour didn't know was that Roan, Bailey, and Ezekiel had other plans. They had struck a deal with a rival gang, the Vulture Lords, who promised them riches and safety in exchange for the artifact. The three of them had planned to double-cross Savour, taking the relic for themselves and leaving him to be sacrificed as a distraction. They figured he'd never see it coming. After all, Savour trusted them. The day of the heist, everything went wrong. The betrayal. As the crew made their way into the vault, Savour felt a growing unease in his gut. Something was wrong. His instincts told him to be on high alert, but he dismissed it, trusting his allies, his friends, to have his back. It was only when the vault doors closed behind them, and the sounds of their footsteps echoed in the cold stone halls, that the trap was sprung. Roan fired the first shot. Bailey poisoned the air. Ezekiel, ever the lawman, pulled his badge, no longer a symbol of justice, but a weapon of betrayal. Savour, caught by surprise, turned to face them. His voice, calm but tinged with disbelief, cut through the silence. This wasn't part of a plan. But it was now. Rone's rifle was already aimed at him, Valia's darts were in the air, and Ezekiel had drawn his knife, the same blade Savour had once used in countless jobs, a symbol of their bond. The betrayal was swift and merciless. But Savour was no fool. He knew the game well enough. He reacted just as fast, but not fast enough. The knife, the bullet grazed his cheek, a burn of agony, but it was the knife that came next, Ezekiel's knife, the same blade Savour had given him years ago as a token of their partnership. Ezekiel had driven it deep into Savour's face, the jagged steel lodging itself just above his left eye. The pain was blinding, and Savour staggered back, blood pouring from the wound, but he didn't fall. He couldn't. Roan stepped forward, a twisted smile on his face. You always were too trusting, Jace. Valia's laugh echoed in the chamber, but it was short-lived. The final betrayal was in motion. They were about to leave him for dead. However, fate was a cruel mistress. As Savour's vision blurred, and his blood soaked the floor, he reached out, gripping the very blade that had betrayed him. He twisted it, using all the strength he had left, and drove it deeper into his skull, not to kill, but to bind himself to something darker. Something that would not let him die. Not yet. The sound of gunfire rang in the distance. The Vulture Lords had arrived too soon, too eager. Roan, Bailey, and Ezekiel turned to face the new threat, leaving Savour to his fate. But Savour wasn't done. As the chaos erupted around him, the Syndicate's former leader pulled himself from the ground, the knife still lodged in his face, but holding onto him like an anchor. He had lost so much: his friends, his trust, his life, but he wasn't going to let this be the end. The aftermath, the betrayal, was the beginning of the end for Savour. It was his descent into the wastes that began with the artifact he was never meant to have. Roan, Bailey, and Ezekiel never lived to see another day. They didn't die by his hand, but they all met grim ends, lost to the wilderness, taken by other factions, or consumed by their own greed. Savour saw to it, though not directly. He had no need to. The knife, lodged in his face, became more than just a wound. It was his reminder, a symbol of everything he lost, and everything he would never allow himself to forget. Now, with only one eye to see through, and a scarred face to reflect his shattered past, Savour wanders the wastes. He seeks not vengeance, but something more elusive: purpose. A reckoning that only he can give to the world he once knew. His story's no longer about redemption. It's about survival. And survival, in a world like this, is the deadliest game of all. Hope you enjoyed this threadbare YT.